The year was 2014, and Sony Pictures Entertainment was riding high, ready to release The Interview, a satirical comedy starring Seth Rogen and James Franco. The film was bold, even audacious, poking fun at North Korea and depicting a fictional plot to assassinate its leader, Kim Jong-un. It was the kind of movie that courted controversy, but controversy was good for business, or so Sony thought. Picture this, it's late November 2014. You walk into your office at Sony Pictures Entertainment, fresh and enthusiastic, ready to tackle the day, completely unaware that the biggest plot twist of your career is about to unfold. Suddenly, something feels off. Colleagues start murmuring. Tension hangs heavy in the air. You sit at your desk, power up your computer, and freeze. Everybody freezes. There it is, a red skull, glowing ominously on your screen with the words, hacked by GOP, not Grand Old Party, but the Guardians of Peace. Below the skull is a chilling message. We've obtained your secrets. Obey our demands, or else. This wasn't a scene from the latest blockbuster Sony was producing. It was their grim reality, a real-life cyber nightmare. Panic spreads like wildfire. Executives convene emergency meetings. IT teams scramble to regain control. Employees advised to shut down their computers, switch to burner phones, and to avoid using company emails. But it was already too late. This was one of the most infamous cyber attacks in history. How did the Guardians of Peace pull this off? Months before the attack, Sony's digital walls were quietly breached. It was a well-coordinated phishing campaign. Employees received what seemed like benign emails like, "Click here to verify your password." Many did. And that's all it took. From there, the hackers crept deeper into Sony's systems, undetected, siphoning over 100 terabytes of data. That's enough information to fill 100,000 pickup trucks with printed documents. By November 24th, the Guardians of Peace were ready to strike. They shut down Sony's systems, locking employees out of their work. And then the leaks began. 100 terabytes of data. That's not just a few files. It's a digital treasure trove. They had everything. Unreleased movies like Fury and Annie. Private emails, business contracts, and sensitive corporate strategies. Confidential employee data, including salaries and medical records. Unreleased films like Fury and Annie were pirated, costing millions in lost revenue. Confidential emails between executives surfaced, showcasing petty insults, secret grudges, and scandalous opinions. One email mocked Angelina Jolie, calling her a spoiled brat. Another referred to Kevin Hart as for demanding extra pay to promote his own movie. Hollywood drama is fun when it's on the big screen, but this was real life, and it wasn't pretty. For Sony employees, this was more than a digital inconvenience. Their social security numbers, medical records, and salaries were exposed. One employee even described it as a digital home invasion. As Sony reeled from the breach, the Guardians of Peace made their demands clear. Cancel the interview, or else.
If you want to make peace, never release the movie. Remember the 11th of September 2001. We recommend you to keep yourself distant from the places at that time. If your house is nearby, you'd better leave.
This 9/11 reference wasn't subtle. It struck fear, not only into Sony, but also into theater chains and audiences worldwide. Major theaters began pulling out. The idea of people gathering in cinemas under the shadow of such a threat was too risky. Sony, facing mounting pressure, made a stunning decision on December 17th. They canceled the movie's theatrical release. However, President Obama responded to a question.
Are we letting hackers dictate what we can watch?
Sony's a corporation. It suffered significant damage. There were threats against its employees. I am sympathetic to the concerns that they faced. Having said all that, yes, I think they made a mistake.
For a moment, it felt like a battle over freedom of expression was being fought on the world stage. The hackers had won. Or so it seemed. Though the hackers succeeded in delaying the release of the interview, they didn't silence it. In a dramatic turn, Sony partnered with digital platforms like YouTube and Google Play to release the movie online. It became a symbol of defiance, raking in millions from curious viewers who wanted to see the film that caused so much chaos. One critic joked,
"The Guardians of Peace just gave this mediocre comedy the best marketing campaign in history."
As the leaks slowed, investigators turned their attention to the attackers. The US government publicly blamed North Korea for the attack, calling it an act of cyber terrorism. The FBI cited technical evidence. The malware used in the hack bore similarities to tools previously deployed by North Korean-linked groups. IP addresses traced back to North Korean infrastructure. It wasn't definitive, but very compelling. North Korea denied involvement, of course, but their rhetoric suggested otherwise. They called the attack a righteous deed and mocked Sony for its retreat. Sony tried to rebuild, but the scars were deep. Employees felt betrayed and exposed. Multiple lawsuits followed over the breach of personal data. Relationships with partners and celebrities were strained. Shareholders were furious. Rival studios chuckled at the free peek into Sony's business strategies. The financial cost was staggering. Estimates ranged from $35 million to $100 million. The Sony hack became a watershed moment for cybersecurity, a case study in vulnerability. It sent a chilling message. No one, not even a global corporation, was safe from the shadows lurking in the network. How even a global giant could be brought to its knees by a few lines of malicious code, and how human error, like clicking on a phishing email, could open the floodgates. This forced companies around the world to rethink their approach to cybersecurity. They began overhauling their cybersecurity protocols, investing in stronger firewalls, training employees to spot phishing attempts, and adopting stricter data privacy measures. The attack also prompted broader conversations about the role of governments in protecting private companies from cyber threats. Should there be global standards for cyber defense? Could nations retaliate for such attacks without escalating tensions? Guardians of Peace lived up to their name in the most ironic way possible. They sowed fear and chaos in the name of silencing a film about freedom of expression. And as the world watched Sony crumble under their digital assault, one truth became painfully clear. In the shadows of the network, the real enemy isn't just hackers, it's the fear they leave behind. The Sony hack wasn't just about a movie. It was about fear, power, and the vulnerabilities of a digital world. It proved that information, whether stolen, leaked, or weaponized, could be as destructive as any bomb. The question isn't just whether the world is prepared for another attack like this, but whether it can afford not to be. So, what are your thoughts regarding this global incident? Comment your opinion in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe our channel, Eccentric Neutrino,